Good job, guys. Blew your way through those Howling Hatred guys. I guess I needed more vultures.
I was fully expecting more to come out.
Nope, you guys burned through them.
Yeah, that was a first. It was nice.
It felt real nice. Just you killing those vultures at first. I was just like, oh man, I'm not even worried anymore.
Well, I was gonna say usually you're the one dropping everything, so.
And he never broke out the invisible stalker. That's what I was kind of waiting on.
Oh, they had the one in the bag, but I wasn't going to do like another bag of holding because we start getting ridiculous with bags of holding. So,
well, we could just sell it.
Good job. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not going to stay up too late. I got to get back on puppy duty at this point. And I know Ardreth will want to go because he'll be getting up early. But it was a good game. So I will catch everybody on Monday, next Monday, and we will get to play again.
Yep, I'm going to go run my dogs too. I might be back later, though.
Logan, just real quick, in case I leave, but you and PB, man, with Nod, that was awesome. That was really good role play.
I've been thinking of a way to get more Nod in there, so it'll hopefully come around for even more.
That was like my
Remember,
one goal this session.
He's only been a lion for like 2 weeks, so
right.
He has no idea what's going on.
And it'll be good if each characters are looking for different opportunities to interact with different people too. So, it'll be nice to just build a little bit of that out for 5 or 10 minutes and then we can move on for stuff. So that's cool. I liked it. So, all right, guys, I'm out and I will catch you a little bit later.
Later.
See
All right.
ya.
See it.
See you, bye.
Who's selling
I have a character, a warlock, that you worked on called Sam Hine, and he's, that sort of, he wakes up, he's, I think, a half elf, and he doesn't have any idea about the world. He's literally, basically, he gave himself over to this fey creature. He's a warlock. He's got warlock powers. He knows that his powers come from somewhere else, but it's all about, seeing the world for the first time kind of thing, that I've wanted to play for a while. So we have that floating around in the wings in case, something happens. But
Are you saying you're throwing Greybeard into precarious situations with the
No.
hope that he won't come out?
No, not at all. Because the warlock character would not be a good replacement for this party in this module. Because this is a module, and there are needs. You cannot slapdash a module like this. It's too calculated.
Yeah. It was, that's why my next character, it's just, I was thinking of playing a rogue. I've always wanted to play a rogue in one of these, but I'm like, that wouldn't fit. So I have a gunslinger in the works. If Ian
Nice.
does.
Nice. A little bit of grit.
Yeah. And just to take over that ranged attacker. The glass cannon again.
So is this musket guns or what?
It would be a revolver, I think is what it would equate to. There would be a revolver. There is a
Gotcha.
musket. There is a version of a sniper rifle. And a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
And a shotgun, I think, are all the ones that are on the list.
Nice.
Yeah, the blunderbuss, then the bad news, the grenade launcher.
Yeah, and if I come up with something cool, I can ask Lucien and we can work it out. I just need the money, which we're not too rich on in this guy.
True. All right. Well, I'm heading off too. You guys have a great night. It was a fun adventure tonight.
See ya, Ardreth.
Later.
Have a good weekend.
It's only Monday too.
Yeah, but we won't see you again.
True. Until next week. I will have a good weekend. A good weekend. You both as well. Take care.
See ya.
Wow, and with Kerrnel down, no broadcast after show. Wow.
Well, yeah, it's not broadcasting. I am recording it for him.
Oh, cool. Yay. All right, well then I'll hang for at least a half an hour.
Yeah.
And just BS. So
It's the best thing.
now, who's here? Just you and me?
Yeah, it's just you and me. T. Gray said he'd try and come back. And
Oh, okay.
so did Logan after he finishes walking
Oh,
his dogs.
Well, I guess it's duet time. We'll just bust out some songs. Oh, no.
Can you imagine? Ever since Lucien put it in my head, I would not mind having a roving band of bards, just like a literal band going around.
Yeah.
I'm so all about it.
When did he say that? I missed that one.
I don't even remember. I don't know if it was on one of these after shows.
Yeah.
It might have been, because Lucien has been like really disciplining himself about staying up, but before he would stay up super late just with like me and Kerrnel, and we would just like theory craft all night.
That's awesome.
It might have been one of those.
Yeah, so our house elf campaign is one of those things that I decided to keep on the Borderlands for, and we're getting to the end of it, and I'm like pushing the boundaries on it, to see who because it's a grind. It's one of the original modules, and it is a dungeon crawl grind, and my party is just not reacting well to it. The girls, they don't know any better, so they're having a good time, but the old hands are too used to my homegrown campaigns that got high flying intrigue and stuff going on, and this is just so we go back and we fight the hobgoblins a third time. And so I tried to change it up on them this time, and I had they built a mantlet with spears sticking out of it, and they were the hobgoblins, like 6 hobgoblins pushing this cart basically with a big tower shield with spears sticking out of it, and they were just gonna roll over the party, and they'd all make saves, and anybody who failed was gonna take like 3d6 damage and be knocked prone and all that. And the gnome jumps out and throws 1,000 ball bearings on the floor, and then the druid pops up, because they all beat the hobgoblins in initiative. So then the druid pops out spike growth under their feet, and then to add insult to injury, the wizard jumps out Spider-Man style, and it's like and webs them all. Just stopped them cold in their tracks. And then so then they all got their turn, but it was all trying to get out of webs and spike growth stuff. So then the bard takes and nat 20 criticals, fires through the small little viewing slot and kills one of the hobgoblins with a short bow arrow. It was just a slaughter of these poor hobgoblins. And I was like, well, okay, I guess that's the way it works. I just shredded them. It was ugly, but it wasn't the same old slog as before. They definitely didn't just, because the last couple times they've been like in melee with the hobgoblins, and the hobgoblins have put a hurt on them, but not in an exciting way. It's pretty much they get the drop on the party, they get a few hits in, and then the party mops them up. So like I said, I got to move the story forward, because whilst the dungeon's full of interesting creations and interesting encounters, as a whole, the grind is just, I think, is gonna make them lose interest. So you got to move things along.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I don't know, it's very interesting doing dungeons. I mean, I've only ever played 5e, so I can't attest to any of the other editions. But in this one, it's like, it's really cool for the first few encounters, and then it just sort of gets repetitive. It almost feels like what you do yourself. Even if like cool things are happening, you're either being beat down or you're beating them down. And maybe it's flying things, maybe it's magic, skulls, whatever. Like, it's cool for like the first 2 seconds, and then it's back to being the grind, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was nice to have an encounter where we felt like we had the upper hand.
Oh,
For once, because this is just, this was us just, why are you hitting yourself? At no point did I feel like anyone was in danger this evening.
I know. I was like, I was a little scared when the first guy hit me for like 8, I think. The first hit when they ambushed us. But like, then it was just like, pew, pew, pew. And I was like, oh, the humanity. It hurts so much.
And now you're like, and your arrow like bursts into thorns and spikes them to the ground.
I know that. I always get like one cool move. I always get one throughout. Or like if it's like a 12-minute battle, like in Tribor, I get a few.
Yeah.
But that always feels good when you like you shoot and you just insta-kill the things around you. It's so good.
Yeah, and they've done a really good job of it, I think. I think the Ranger is just, because when, with the Barbarian, you expect, 10, 12 damage in a round. But then when you see the Ranger pull off like 17, 20 some damage in a round, that's like, you're like, that's way cool, because it's not about the hitting hard, it's the hitting specific, you know what I mean? It feels different rather than this big axe zumping into people. It's like it feels more like a movie because you got an arrow and it's hitting him in the eye socket or getting him in the throat and killing him, rather than the old Rock'em Sock'em Robot Fred Flintstone fight that D&D can be. I hit you, you hit me. I hit you, you hit me, until one of us falls down. So it's really cool. Like I said, when you just take someone out with arrows, I think it's sweet.
I know, it's and it's pretty cool. The power curve is a little weird with Rangers because this is like my max damage for probably forever. This is it. This is the best it's gonna get.
Yeah, and it's that way with the Barbarian too. I going up from here is, I started with the D12, and I'm just going to kind of get another point or two here or there every 3 or 4 levels as we go up. And I don't get more attacks again. I don't think I get more attacks again until much later on. So, unless I start getting a lot of crits, that's kind of plateaued, like you said, where spellcasters, that's again in the House Elf campaign on Saturday nights, the wizard is just, he's like, ugh, because the halfling fighter with her crossbow is like, I'll throw a D8 and then I use one of my maneuver dice, so that's a second D8, and because we're using dex and I've got a 20 dex, that's plus 5 more plus this. Okay, that's plus 7 more. So she's doing like 20 points of damage with the crossbow bolt, and she's shooting it like twice in a round now because she's got crossbow expert. And like I said, the wizard is like, this is ridiculous, and I'm like, just wait, in another level you can fly, you can fireball, you can lightning bolt, you'll feel much better about your standing in the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the best magic users, they just like get the most ridiculous, amazing things at later levels.
Exactly. Meteor storm.
Prismatic spray.
Mm-hmm.
Or my favorite one, reverse gravity.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite one. Just all of a sudden you're just going up and you're going back down. Just it just reminds
Yeah.
me of like that the telekinesis thing when somebody grabs someone and just like starts hitting them up and down and up and down in a room.
Oh man. Yeah. So are you up to date on Critical Role?
I know what's happened. I haven't watched, I think, since they hit 90 or the late 80s, but I did watch this last episode.
Yeah, I'm two behind currently, but yeah, after they got the big, the big boss fight over with. Oh, sorry, with the chromatic. Oh, I don't know. I want to say triad. That's not it.
Conclave?
Conclave. Thank you. Oh, jeez, words. I've got the best words.
I feel you.
So yeah, after I kind of after that, it's been like I'll let a few episodes build up, and then I watched a couple after that, and they got I don't like the bard's new character. Gosh, yeah, I can't think of anybody's name. Never mind.
Terry.
Forget I said anything. Yeah,
Terry.
yeah,
Terry Darrington.
yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I like the character yet. It's fun and funny, and I see where he's going with it, and I'm glad that he's exploring something new. But I really think that, okay, I guess I'll ask you, do you think that they could start again or make new characters and continue on with the way they are? Or do you think that the spell will be broken and it'll start the decline of the show?
If they start a new campaign in the world?
Yeah, a new campaign, a new storyline.
Well, for me, the charm of the show has always been them.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, Matthew Mercer, and Marisha Ray. And
Yeah.
Allison Jaffe. Like that, they have been the thing that has gotten me. It's their relationship with each other. I don't want to say that the story and their characters are secondary, because it's not. But, like, I feel like they could play whomever, and I would still enjoy it. And Matthew can make whatever world and whatever story, and I feel like I would still enjoy it. Because it's their passion for role-playing and having fun with their friends. Because that's what it really is, right? I'm watching a bunch of people play with their toys.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the talent of being people who do that for a living. Give voice to characters. So
Yeah.
I think that's the charm. At least that's what got me. You know, it's their hijinks of them having chemistry with each other. And that first game on their first show of Critical Role, when they were in that tavern in Craghammer, or whatever the Dormant was.
Yeah,
And
it's Craghammer.
Yeah, and they're having this serious conversation in their room in the inn, and then you hear a bunch of ruckus downstairs, and someone's like, is that someone's bear downstairs?" And and Laura's just like, "Oh, that's me. I'm just gonna go." And she runs down there, and Marisha runs right after her, and then eventually everybody goes, and suddenly it's like this shit show of this guy trying to fight him, and Marisha turns into a bear. There's fog, and suddenly there's a rat. Scanlan's like, okay, I'll just hold this rat, no problem. And somehow they get out of it. Like,
Yeah.
and that's something you only get when you have chemistry between people.
Right.
Like, that's not something like a new group would do.
Right.
But they are so good at just improv and playing off of each other that it worked. At least in my eyes. Like, I wouldn't mind starting a new campaign with them. Maybe they take a creative break, but when they come back, I would totally still watch it. Like, I love Terry now. I hated Terry. Fuck Terry.
Yeah.
I was so angry at Sam,
Yeah.
but I was Laura. I was Laura that entire thing, throwing the tissue at him and everything. That was me.
Yep.
And then I was mad at him the next one, but then once they got on the water, and they were on their way to the water Ashari, and
Right.
their entire thing with the water Ashari, he sort of grew on me, and then
Yep.
he kept growing on me, and then we've entered this new 1 year later sequence, and I'm like, and suddenly I love Terry. Like, what happened? How did I get here? How did I go from hating this guy to thinking he was so charming?
Yes, and like I said, I love what he's doing with them and stuff, and I can tell as a person, you know, he's obviously been playing the same character for a long time, and he wants to explore something else. And I think that I don't think he's stretched too far out of his comfort zone, because he's got the same kind of character, you know, the fish out of water sort of thing. But I think that creating the Terry character allowed him to explore some more of that I don't know, some new relationships, I guess, within the party. Now, what I do miss is the oh my god, I can't think of any of their names right now. The Goliath and Travis's character and Sam, the two of them, their misadventures. I that dynamic I guess I'm missing. But I do like the Dottie character, or Dodie. How did I pronounce it? Dodie. And I like the fact that he's got this mechanical manservant. It's a little weird in some aspects because it kind of gives Matt more to do. And so I don't know. I wonder what their talk was before that started, where he's like, hey, I want to have a robotic manservant. Cool storyline. Very cool. It's great. If this was a book, that'd be fantastic. But as numbers and stuff, because sometimes Matt has the robot engage in combat, and so I'm like, okay, where is this stand? You know, is it Sam's character or is it Matt's character? So I don't know. We'll get there.
Yeah, I think it's sort of I think the way Matt's doing. I mean, I haven't read anything for the Artificer, so I don't know anything about that character class.
Yeah.
But I think the way he runs it is sort of like Trinket or a Ranger's Companion.
Got it.
Where it's
Okay.
like either he attacks or you attack.
Right.
Oh.
In Arcana, they gave a feat now to where you can do that as a bonus action.
Ooh.
Instead of your action. So I'm sure that's coming up at some point.
Yeah. I mean,
Where,
go ahead.
oh, just where people will definitely, you know, start taking that. Oh, Arcana, it's in Arcana. I'm
Yeah.
glad Arcana is going to go back to once a month. They started to get a little, just chuck out ideas, just, you know, and gotten a little slipshod.
Yeah, it got a little oversaturated. And yeah, I'm sort of glad that they're doing that and bringing back sort of sage advice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't listened to this most recent one, but I did see the thread that went up on the Reddit, on the D&D Reddit.
Yeah.
There was an interesting conversation. I only saw the TLDR of it, but there was an interesting discussion about perception and what passive perception is and stealthing and all of that stuff.
Ooh, that's interesting. I haven't seen it, so
Yeah.
yeah. One of the things I've been doing is I've been insisting that certain things can only be done in the game if you actually have proficiency with certain skills, because when you've got 6 players at a table, somebody's gonna hit it. The runes upon the door, glow with an ancient magic. Those of you who have history or arcana, can roll to try to figure it out. I hate the fact that here's the 10-year-old warlock, la 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 la, with no proficiency in it, can just look at it, bam, hit the roll, get the nat 20 and be like, oh, I know what that is, blah blah blah, and it could be good story. I'm just saying it could be, but I want the guys who are proficient in the skill to have a good chance at it first. The wizard, the diviner knowledge wizard should really get the chance to try to figure out the ancient runes before everybody else in the party. That's his time to shine. So I don't know, that's just something I've been doing.
No, I think that's very interesting. I think I like that a lot. I think sometimes it gets a little bit overboard with everyone rolling. Everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to see if I get it. And I think once people like chill out with that and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm someone who would probably know this, so I'm going to roll for it. Or I have no fucking clue. I've never interacted with this stuff in my life. I'm not going to roll. I mean, why would I?
Yep.
And so once that dynamic sort of, if that dynamic ever pops up, and once that levels itself out, I think it does open up opportunity for like some hilarious moments. Like I know sometime in Critical Role, it's happened twice, and both times with Grog's character, but it was an Arcana check.
Right.
And like, Vex, Vax, none of them checked it. Only like Scanlan and Pike did, or whoever was there. And Grog was like, oh, I'll roll 2 with my, my minus whatever, my minus 2.
It's 6 intelligence.
Yeah. And he rolled a natural 20 for it. And it was like, okay, all right. And so Matt came up with like this brilliant way to incorporate that, other than, this. You don't know how you know this, but you know this. It wasn't one of those. It was like, through blah, 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 blah. It comes to you, and you were like, oh, that was such a cool way to do it. Never would have thought of it. Not nearly as creative. But it does come up with, like, that situation where the DM gets to come up with some, like, weird way for this character who, if for all intents and purposes, has no right understanding what this is.
Yes, exactly. Why would the barbarian know that at all?
Exactly. It's, oh man, D&D is so, I was thinking about it, it's so weird, some of these checks you do. It's just so weird.
So what do you mean? I mean, give me an example if you can.
It's like just some interactions, like, I am going to try and ride this Axebeak. I've never ridden an Axebeak before, but I am going to try. I am going to jump on him. All right. I have jumped on him. Now what? Now I'm going to be able to direct this Axebeak. All right. Make a roll for that. Okay. And I'm just like, how would I do that in real life? Like, what would I do to make this Axebeak with wings so you can't exactly like kick it in the side?
Right. Well,
like,
if you remember, it didn't do what I wanted the first round, so I punched it in the side of the head, like, okay, go this way, bird, and stuff. So yeah, it's, I don't want to throw Lucien too many curveballs, but at the same time, this game it's not bound by numbers and by by stuff. You need to try things, and that's what creates those fun and sometimes annoying situations, but it has to be done. Otherwise we're missing out.
It's just it's a matter of just settling down with the rules and understanding all of them, because I think it, especially when you're new to DMing, I think it just gets overwhelming, all the things you can do, which means that there's going to be things you never think of that are happening, and you're like, how do I, And I think, because I know Kerrnel did the same thing, where he would just get a little bit overwhelmed with
Yeah.
what you were asking, because he wasn't like too sure on the rules. Like he maybe
Right.
read it this one time, but he wasn't like super knowledgeable, or like not something that popped up more than once in his read, you know?
And
So go ahead.
as a base thought, if you just strip everything away, it is adults playing pretend.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's group storytelling. It's writing a story, creating a story, a fireside chat, if you will, with numbers. So the thing is, back when I was a kid, the thing we always did is a DM, if you didn't know, you picked a stat and you said roll under your whatever. There was no target DCs and stuff. So you would just say, sure, roll under your strength, and the fighter would be like, well, of course I'll roll under my strength, or, then he'd fail for whatever reason. And then you'd be like, the halfling tries it, with his 8 strength. And like you just said, he gets it because, he gets a 6. Yay! The halfling rips the gate from the door and chucks it aside. So yeah, it just default to something and keep the story moving. That's the big thing to do. I'm just I don't know. I love it so.
That's my thought. Just like yes and, I guess, sort of like how Matt says it. Yes and. Yes, you can do that, and this is what happens, or whatever. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You were on a roll.
I was just gonna say that's how I sort of see it too. Like, I keep toying with the idea of trying to DM like a one shot to see if I like it or not. And
Nice.
For me, it's like I mean, I haven't read the DMG at all. I've read what you guys have, the rule things that have popped up in SKT or back in Lost Minds of Phandelver. I've been like, okay, yeah, here's the rules on grappling, or here's the thing about climbing on people. But I haven't read through the DMG, and I want to read through the DMG to just sort of see what's in there. To sort of, not even just for the rules, just like give me an idea of what people are going to decide they want to do. Like, I want to climb on this person. Okay, yes, you are climbing on that person. Give me an acrobatics roll or a strength check to see if you hold on because you're on a bucking bronco or whatever.
Yep.
And
Just
go ahead.
Whenever I have new players, and again, as of 25th of this month, it'll be 40 years. So I've had a lot of new players over the years. The big thing I always say to people is just, what would your character do? What would you do if you were this person, and go with it, and over the years, people are like, well, I would, I would punch the axe beak in the head, or I would talk to the guy and try to talk him into letting me have the horses. I remember this one total new player. She's like, oh, I just talk him out of, loaning us some horses. And I'm like, well, okay, he does work for your father, and you're telling him that you need the horses, though you are with these, basically murder hobos. And I'm like, all right, give me a charisma roll, and just, again, as the DM, it's the same thing as with the players. What would happen? One of the things that I've always had problems with in D&D is the halt mechanism. Okay, you try to open the lock. I roll, I miss. you know, the bus stops. You go, I try again. You know, that kind of stuff. I like the theory of failing forward. You know, oh, you have failed to open the lock. You realize, you know, the lock is beginning to open, but you've recognized that you've started to make too much noise in your frustration, and you've probably alerted who's ever on the other side. That's failing forward. It keeps the story moving. You know, there's no grind to a halt. You know, and then 20 minutes of exposition while the players then go, what do we do? Do we try to pick it again? Do we kick it down? You know, that stops the momentum of the story. I would much rather have it be like, you get the lock open, but you hear down the hall the orcish guards are coming. You know, like I said, I like the theory of fail forward, particularly in D&D 5th edition. So
I think that's a really cool way to deal with it. Failing forward, as you call it. It's something that I guess, like, in theory I've thought about it, and I think maybe talked about it before, but I've always thought about it more of, I don't know, it's like, because, I mean, it's sort of like in life, right? Time is your only obstacle. You'll eventually do it given enough time. And I think failing forward, in the way I look at, I'm thinking about it, like, that would be really good when there's no pressure. There's nothing coming at you. You're not afraid of anything happening. And when I think about failing, like picking a lock, I think about Vox Machina's number one enemy, doors. And I think back to the occasion when they were in Whitestone, when they were still sleuthing around, trying to avoid being seen because it was still ruled by the Briarwoods. And so they're going to the Church of Palor, I think, to go see that one guy, or whatever they were doing. I can't even remember. And so they're trying to enter this church, which is desolated, empty. No one even comes to really this side of the town anymore. And they try to open this door. Doesn't work. Somebody else tries to open the door. Doesn't work. Okay. Scanlan goes in, dimension doors inside. Tries to open it from the inside. There's a log on it. All right. He tries to lift it. He fails his check. Doesn't pick it up. He's like, doesn't work. And so it's like, shit, we have to find a way to get in here. We can't be seen out here. Okay, what do I do? And Sam the entire time is just like, I feel like there's something we can do to make this a lot easier. And Vax is like, hey, Percy, give me your sword. And so first time Percy ever uses the sword since the beginning of the campaign. And so they pull it through, and Vax is like, okay, I'm gonna push up on this side, you push up on your side. He's like, you're giving me the pointy end? And, they try and raise it, still doesn't work. And so it's like, fuck, okay. So Vax goes in through one of the broken windows, and him and Sam try to pick it up. Doesn't work. Sam uses another spell slot, brings in an unseen servant, tries to raise it up. Still total failure. Percy is standing outside like, I could just, go in through. No, we're gonna open this door. And then Sam, another spell slot used, takes out Bigsby's hand, boop, opens the door.
Yeah.
And there's moments like that. And then Sam is down three spell slots. He went down 2 hit points from cutting his hand on the sword.
Right.
And then they enter this church, and it's inhabited by a banshee. So it's or maybe even 2. I can't even remember. And so all of a sudden it's like, fuck, we need to get out of here right now. It's making noise. All these things are happening. I'm so glad I opened that door. That we could just run straight out.
And that worked, but like you just said, he's down 3 spell slots and some hit points. And how much game time? how much absolute total game time did that take? You know, where they could have been not that those aren't the great moments. Those aren't the good story when stuff like that happens, because that was so absurd, that it's memorable. But think of how many times we've tried to do something and it's just like, but you're just stopped. You're stopped cold, and it just doesn't. Like I said, it needs to move the story along. So
I think
but-
it also depends on like what kind of game you're running and who's in the game with you. Like in that game, in that moment, well, first of all, they were also trying to kill time because a couple of people weren't there yet. So they were killing time. They had split the party. So this was the party that was there. I think it was Laura and Travis who were late because they were getting off a plane from some con or whatever. And so they were killing time. So I'm
Of
sure
course.
Matt let it go on for way longer than he would normally. But, to kill time, they played it out. But also, it's just like the absurdity of having to do it that way. Like, okay, here, I'm going to try and do this. Okay, but there's a broken window. We're going to do it like this. Like, that's not... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm not just going to throw a knotted rope down to you. You could climb in, or we can even pull you in at this point. We are getting this door done, So,
It's like,
yeah.
at a point, it's about just, like, my own ego.
I will not be defeated by a door.
And yet, number one enemy. But, like, in our group, if I think how we would deal with a door we can't get through, we would go in through the window. We wouldn't spend
Yes.
like 2 seconds on that door. It's like, can't open the door? All right, I find another way in. There's no sitting there talking about this door at all, because that's just sort of not the group we are.
Well, and that's the thing too. You'll notice I like playing the Greybeard character. I like not having patience, because if we weren't broadcasting, I would let things go a little longer, like the planning stages, because that is part and parcel of this game, is the planning. But because we're broadcasting and because we've got an audience, I'm usually like, okay, we need to move this along. So like when we stop to look up a rule, I'm glad we do, because again, there's people watching who've never played before or very new, and they want to hear the rules and stuff, and I think that's amazing. But that's something you never see, you'll never see on like Critical Role or whatever. Is we're just going to stop and look up a rule, so I have a little less, because we have an audience, I have a lot less patience for planning or looking up rules and whatnot. So I do. So please forgive me if ever I'm step on toes or do something impulsive or whatnot, because one, it's part of the character, and two, it's part of the show,
Yeah, and I think it's still us finding a balance of how we're going to play this game together. Because even though we've been doing it for weeks now, for about half a year, I think, it's still, we're still like finding our roles, which is so weird to say. But we're still finding our roles of not only us as characters in a group, but us as people playing these characters in a group. Like, how much am I going to talk? How long am I taking in this turn? How, strategy-wise, how am I going to play this? How would I play this? How is Lucien going to play this?
Right. Oh my goodness. I hate when I start metagaming and start second guessing Lucien. or the module. I'm like, oh my god, this module's gonna do. Oh god, we're so fudged. And then I just walk into it anyway, because it's the way Greybeard would do it. And so, for instance, you guys were absolutely fantastic. You were doing it correctly, planning on fighting the giants. and it would have been so much smarter to, yes, lure them out or shoot them from afar or whatever. But I'm like, oh my God, guys, we're losing them. We're losing folks. We're starting to bleed like a sieve. So I'm like, okay, I got to make something happen. And I know I've done it at least 3 times. And I love Ian's reaction, because Ian is all about, do this smart. And so it has played out wonderfully. But at the same time, as a player, know that I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. I'm just trying to make an entertaining show.
Yeah.
So,
and it's totally cool, because it is, like you said, exactly what Greybeard would do. and I mean, I also have to look at it from Ian's point of view. Of Ian's like this like super serious guard person, like her entire life's purpose is to like make sure her village is safe and the people are safe, and she didn't want to go out here, she didn't want to do any of this, but she drew the short straw, and now she's out here trying to stay alive, and she's used to commanding people and telling people what to do and how to get into strategic positions, setting up ambushes and traps. Like, that's her thing. That's what she does. And in this group, none of that. 0% of that. 0 ambushes, 0 sneaking up on people, 0 traps. It's like, I'm gonna yell as I run straight at you, no serpentining, straight at you for like 300 feet, giving you perfect ample time to do whatever the fuck you want to do. And once I get there, half down, then I'm gonna attack you. And Ian's just in the background, like in the comedic, like a slam zoom of her just like face palming.
hey,
Like a crash zoom, bum. Just, oh God, why am I doing this?
and I think that's what we love about Ian and the way you play her. And I think that we as players need to insert those little bits more often. That's why, I feel like I'm interrupting or grabbing some spotlight a lot of times. And when I go back and listen, like I said, I feel like I'm kind of stepping on people's toes sometimes, but there's points where I think it needs us to put that little bits in, like when you guys were having your moment tonight, it was beautiful. That you and Logan, that was amazing and rocked. But I was like, and bam, here's the little comedic bit I can throw in, because he's all, well, I'm learning and all this, and it's amazing everything I see around me. And I'm like, oh, I got to throw in a burp joke, because it breaks up the scene just enough to where people aren't like, wow, because Critical Role, sometimes they get heavy, man. They get heavy, and it you're like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna cry. This is so good, Yeah. and so like I said, during that scene, I'm like, yeah, he's seeing things. What is he really? He's seeing how things can be bad too. I didn't want to be a completely beautiful exposition. So anyway,
And my entire goal, that was my goal coming into this game, into last game also. I was like, after Finn made the joke about Nod being sad about us calling ourselves the Six, which I absolutely had to bring into the conversation today.
which was awesome.
I was like, this has to be something I talk about. No way I'm not talking about it. But I wanted to talk about it, one, because everyone that knows Logan tells me that he doesn't roleplay. He's not one of those people. He doesn't do anything. And that what is happening in this game is like a miracle. We're watching like the miracle of life happening right in front of our eyes. And so I'm like, I believe you, but it's like, now I want to know, like, how far is he going to go on this? How far is he going to roleplay this out? And then after he said that thing about Nod, I'm like, well, my character is all about the animals. I interact with animals way better than I do people. It's literally my character trait. So I'm like, me and Nod are going to be bros. And after he said, you guys sit with Nod, he sits with you and he chills with you guys. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to try and do a thing, and I'm going to see how far Logan's going to take this. And so if you listen to that entire interaction, I'm sort of pushing more and more to see, like, how much backstory has Logan given Nod? Like, how much of this is he willing to give me right now? Like, and he did phenomenally. I was so, like, all about it. I was so excited. I was like, yes, give me more. And so now I'm like, now I get to play with Nod. And now all of us know we can play around with Nod in an RP sort of manner.
Nope.
And I'm so excited about that. And, like, I have a thing I want to do with Finn that I've wanted to do for, like, 5 sessions now. And, like, I have things lined up about things I want to talk to you about people at some point.
That's awesome. Greybeard's still kind of in mourning about Tigray, and he's still afraid to, really have relationships with anyone. And so I've been putting in little bits like Finn and GB, stood together to fight at one point, and I was like, all right. And I just kind of made a little nod and, this kind of thing, like, okay, we're cool. And then, I think it was in the last session that we played, Coffee came to Greybeard's aid and saved him, gave him the potion, and Greybeard was like, okay, cool, you're cool. I didn't think I was gonna like you, kind of thing. For there. And so I played a little, just like, 2 little bits in the session where I said something to Coffee about thanks for the potion, kind of thing. And it's Greybeard starting to go, okay, my best friend is dead, but am I going to have a new best friend, or am I a loner now? And so Greybeard's kind of in this weird spot, So.
And I'm like, I'm all about that. Like, I love that just got thrusted on your character.
and that's it. If they throw you the ball, you run with it.
Exactly. Because, like, this could have gone, like, your storyline went, like, took a, 90-degree turn. It was like, you were going straight, now you're not. Now you're going to the left. And you just gotta go with it. And I was so excited about that.
It really is. It really is amazing to see Logan, like, really role playing. I mean, for years it was, Maris, my character, steps forward. It was always this out of body thing. The character existed, and there was never a connection and stuff. And so, my God, I cannot tell you how much this campaign has just been just heartfelt and heartwarming to have him opening up and really feeling like he's role playing, so it's very, very cool. So tonight was really beautiful, just beautiful.
And
so
I think, like, just because of you guys, because Lucien tells me the same thing, and I'm just like, well, now I want to play with this. I want to play with this. And so it gives me, like, more incentive to want to role play things with, like, Finn or now Nod.
Yeah. Right.
Even though it's Logan, since Logan gave, like, Nod a complete, like, personality, now I'm, like, separating the two. Like, there is Finn and there is Nod. Somewhere in my brain I realized that they're both Logan. But I'm in my, it's just like watching Orphan Black, like, you recognize that everyone is Tatiana Maslany, the actress, but when you're watching the show, or even, like, if they show up at, like, a con or a panel or something, you're like, oh, it's nice that that one of the actresses got to come, but it's a shame that Helena wasn't able to come.
Right, a whole panel of them couldn't be there.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, right, they're all one person. Because she does such a phenomenal job of that. And Logan gave me that tonight. where
Yeah.
Finn was somebody and Nod was somebody. Like, and
Yeah.
Finn laughs at that, while Nod with his James Earl's voice just says, like, whatever. Like, yes,
No.
please scratch me behind the ear. That was amazing.
Oh, it was good. It was good. All right. I suppose I should get going.
Alrighty then. Have a wonderful week and weekend.
Yeah. And we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, same. See you guys. You guys on the recording if Kerrnel uses it. See you guys on Monday.